When we first arrived at this farm, it was in a very tired condition. Nature was lacking prana. The soil was hard as a rock. There was no worms. It was overgrown, and the house was in a shocking condition. We decided to take it on to do this Homa Therapy experiment to see how we could transform a property with Homa. Over time, Shree Dham has developed into a teaching, healing and demonstration centre for Agnihotra, which is the pivotal aspect of Homa Therapy and Homa organic farming. It's an ancient Vedic super science that builds up a biosphere full of vitality and all the micronutrients required for healthy life on Earth. Agnihotra is a healing fire, sunrise, sunset. It heals the atmosphere heals the mind. Suryaya swaha, Suryaya idam namama, Prajapataye swaha, Prajapataye idam namama. Cows are important for Agnihotra. It's the cow dung that is burnt in the healing fires. According to Vedas, cow dung is the only clean dung there is on the planet. It is not only clean, it's medicinal, and in world wars it drew out toxins from septic wounds. The cow with the hump is the optimum cow, the original cow. It's very resilient in difficult conditions, and here they are enjoying a beautiful treat of Agnihotra ash, molasses and lucerne. The ash maintains their health, heals disease and produces optimum quality milk. Every morning before the sun is shining on the paddocks, we go out and collect fresh, warm dung patties before the dung beetles have got in there. It's better to collect it fresh rather than dried in the paddock because we don't want to burn insects in the fire, only fresh dung. The optimum situation is to collect cow dung from organically treated cows eating organic pasture, but this is not necessarily easy to find in the West. So as long as they are grass-eating cows, that's the minimum requirement, and not grain-fed cows. Believe it or not, cow dung patties is a bit of an art. If the cow dung patties are too thin, it burns too fast. If they're too thick, it burns too slowly. And if it's too compressed, it burns very badly and smokes a lot. So you need to pat them down lightly, don't handle them much, allow pockets of air to be in the cow dung. The optimum situation is a hothouse because that hastens the drying, protects from rain. It's important to have plenty of airflow in the cow drying process because mouldy dung cannot be used in the fires. Within about 3 months of performing regular Agnihotra and Om Triambakam daily, applying ash over the soil, what we saw very clearly was that the soil started to become vital, and it was full of worms, it was more friable, it was holding moisture, far more moisture than in other farms. Indeed, conventional farmers, neighbours would come onto the land and say, "How come your soil is so full of moisture?" We have been growing small-scale crops of grain and pulse very successfully, disease-free, without irrigation or artificial fertilisation, other than ploughing in green manure crops with Agnihotra ash and regular ash water foliar spray. To enhance the drying of the dung, you flip it over to dry the other side, and you can break it in half to expose it to the air. Expose the racks also to the sun. In organic farming, it's very important to have remedies that can help the plant without any chemical input. In Agnihotra Homa farming, we use ash water spray, a foliar spray that is simply water that has been charged with Agnihotra ash. You get copper bins, you put the ash in the water, you stir it around, expose it to the sunlight for 3 days, protecting it from the rain, and then you filter that into a clean spray pack, spray it on your crops, spray it on your veggies, on your fruit trees. It's known scientifically that the pores of the plants open at the moment of sunrise and sunset. When we do Agnihotra, then we are filling the atmosphere with this prana and micronutrients, and that is also in the water particles. And so the pores open up and receive all that nutrient. And that's how you can heal the plant and maintain its health.
Mum and Dad grow these oranges on their Homa farm. So sweet and juicy, much better than the ones Mum buys in the market. Swaha Agnihotra Mama Swaha Agnihotra Mama Swaha Surya Mama Swaha Prajapataye Mama Om Trambake Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivaranam Ovarakamiva Bandhanan Mricho Mukshiyamamritat Swaha Om Trambake Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivaranam Ovarakamiva Bandhanan Mricho Mukshiyamamritat Swaha.
Every year we produce beautiful vegetables which are extremely tasty, and our neighbours recognise when they taste the food. They say, "Oh, this tastes beautiful." Broccoli this year, enormous heads. Our broccoli is organic, Homa broccoli, and it's so tasty and healthy. No problems whatsoever.
What you can see on this photo on the left hand side is that this normal organic seed we bought, and we planted it and grew it in Homa atmosphere with Agnihotra ash and the Trambakam fire to fortify and give the plant or the seed a good start. The seed is first soaked in cow urine, then it is applied with some fresh cow manure which is almost completely dry. Then we plant it with ash in the soil, and the seed which you see on the right hand side is grown in Homa atmosphere. It's much larger as you can see it, and the taste is absolutely fantastic.
Here is an active termite hill's nest, and they go underground searching out wood to eat. Here's a post several metres away, and see how it is completely eaten out.
The pyramid I have in my hand here was placed here on the ground under this big pile of timber. There was a termite's nest just about a couple of feet away up there. As you can see, this termite hill is still active. You see the soldiers in there. This is a soldier termite. This pile of timber here has been exposed to the termite's nest for 10 years and only 5 large bits of timber have been completely affected by the termites. This bit of timber has been minimally affected in this 10-year period. There's another pile of timber which had no pyramid with it and that's completely eaten out.
We have Homa honey, and for the first time we have our own beehives and we've spun the honey. Now that honey is the most beautiful taste. In Homa atmosphere, bees undergo a positive mutation and their honey is extremely medicinal.
I've been doing Agnihotra now for 3 to 4 years and I've noticed a huge change in my family, particularly my husband. Within 3 months he opened up, expressed his emotions and become more loving to me and the family. In fact, it's had an effect on all of the family, including the dog who had mange. I put ash in the water. I mixed ghee and ash together as an ointment which I put on the skin, and within 3 days the mange was gone. Even the horses have been affected. We had grumpy horses in the paddock, and since doing Agnihotra in the paddock with them, they're much happier. I actually put ash in the dam every 2 or 3 days and the water started to clear within 3 months. Now, a year later, we have frogs singing. In fact, Agnihotra has affected every aspect of my life in positive ways, including my family.
Hello, my name's Paul. I've been doing Agnihotra now about 10 years. I'm a remedial therapist by trade. Recently, one of my clients who I was treating for a body condition complained of a severe eczema that he had around his navel. He'd had this condition for around about 20 years and never been able to get rid of it. He tried all the allopathic methods, including cortisone and all the creams that were available. Nothing seemed to work. He finally agreed to try the ash medicine, so we mixed him up a mixture of ghee and ash, which he applied twice a day for 10 days. At the end of that 10 days, he reported back that not only had the rash completely cleared up, but it hadn't reoccurred. I had this friend who was a hairdresser. She had her own business. She'd been doing it for about 14 years and had an ongoing problem, an asthmatic type condition from inhaling the chemicals from the hairsprays. I suggested to her that maybe she could come and breathe the smoke from the fire and sit with the fire while we did Agnihotra. After a while she agreed to try this. At first it was intermittent, but she could feel the results. After a period of time she was sitting regularly. Within 2 or 3 weeks of sitting regularly, the asthmatic conditions alleviated, her toxins seemed to disappear, and she's had no problems with it to this day. Now I'd like to tell you about a very personal experience that I had myself recently. I had a skin cancer came up just where at the edge of the nose here on the face, which was very large, and I went to the doctors and he diagnosed it as such, sent me off to the specialist. I went to the specialist who confirmed the diagnosis, but told me because of the positioning of the cancer that it would need to be cut out. It was too large to be burnt. It was about the size of a 10-cent coin, and it would require plastic surgery after. So I was a little bit alarmed about that. I thought before I committed to that treatment I would try some of the ash and ghee medicine. After about 3 or 4 days of applying the ash and ghee to compost to the site, it drew all the infection out and cleaned up the sore completely. After about another 3 or 4 days of continuing to apply it, it's dried out. There is no more sign of the cancer, and to this day it hasn't come back. You can have a look there from something that was about the size of 10 cents. Now to me, that was a real miracle.
This is our dog Nala. When we got her, she had mange all the way down her back here, the size of a dinner plate. And so we applied ash and ghee on her every day for 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks her mange had all disappeared and she was back and healthy again.
I'm a dancer and I did a 5-day workshop at Sydney Dance Company. Unfortunately, on the first day I twisted my ankle doing a hard turn. It seemed impossible that I'd be able to do the rest of the workshop because I actually couldn't walk that night. I was just sitting there going, oh, what can I do? I really want to finish this workshop, but it doesn't seem that I can because I can't walk. So Mum said, why don't you put some ash and ghee on it? So I did. And the following day I could walk. I could actually walk. It was amazing. I was so excited because that means I could finish the workshop. It was a miracle.
Hi, my name's Jason. When I was 10 years old, I lost my mother, which was quite a difficult thing for any 10-year-old to bear. In my teenage years, I took to drinking, smoking, like most teenagers do. But I used to get very depressed. I used to get really angry. I would have temper tantrums. I couldn't hold down a relationship for more than 2 years. That was a long time ago. But 2 years ago, I was introduced to Agnihotra, and I'm now performing regular healing fires. My anger is now no longer a problem. I don't need to see my therapist anymore. I've given up drinking, I'm giving up smoking, and I really feel at peace with my mother's death.
At this Homa Therapy Center we do Homa farming, and for that reason we have installed in the Agnihotra hut a power point. One pyramid buried half a meter underground, a column, and there's one pyramid sitting on top. No fires are being burned in this power point. Then outside on the farm we have 4 columns, about 6 foot tall, filled with a column of soil. And on top of the soil we've placed this pyramid, which is facing east-west. When Agnihotra is performed, the Agnihotra pyramid starts to resonate, as it is a science of resonance. And the pyramid in this column starts to resonate with the Agnihotra pyramid where the fire is burning. So with that we extend the effect of one Agnihotra fire, which is 40 acres, to an area up to 100 acres. To have an ongoing water supply, we put a bore down. The bore is 40 meters deep, and as soon as the bore was established, we had the water tested. The bore water was very saline and was very alkaline, the pH of 9.5, and it was 1150 parts per million. With that amount you can just grow a lettuce, and that's where it stops. So we performed Agnihotra right next to the borehole, and regularly we applied Agnihotra ash right into the borehole. And the Department of Water Resources requested that they do tests on our bores to measure the standing water level in regards to drought, and also to monitor the quality of the bore water here in the valley, which we're allowed to do. So twice a year they do testing on this water, and they found that over time, a very short space of time, the salinity had dropped to 720 parts per million, which is constant now, and the pH is neutral, it sits at 7.2. We also had it tested by a proper laboratory, professional testing, to measure the salts and metals present in this bore water, and they found that this is right within the standards of the World Health Organization drinking water, potable water. So that is the change which Agnihotra has brought to this bore water.
We use the ghee and the Agnihotra ash for medicine for both the plants and for people, and for animals as well. So you take some Agnihotra ash and you sieve it into a fine powder and mix it with ghee, and you can apply it to wounds on trees, for example. You can apply it to wounds on people or animals. We mentioned how mange can be cured by rubbing the ash and ghee in the affected area. And these kinds of results happen all the time. The key to Homa farming and Homa therapy is daily Agnihotra, sunrise and sunset. We also supplement the biosphere created by these fires by doing other healing fires as well. At Shree Dham, we're here to teach people the techniques of Homa therapy so they can purify and energize their own environments and thus restore the balance to nature in our beautiful country.
Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama.
Who put leaves on the fig tree? fire in our hearts. And Dung Drum's all inspired.